Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Train Simulator Classic, aka Railworks. Today we're going to be looking at the Victory Works USATC S160, a 280 consolidation type built during World War II by the United States as an export locomotive for the US Army to take to different countries that they would end up in. The Axis powers were pretty well known for destroying railroads, destroying railroad equipment whenever they were pulling out of places, as well as just the simple warfare. Warfare in general tended to destroy railroad equipment and railroad track, infrastructure, everything of the nature. So the United States enacted, they came up with the USATC, and my brain just left the train station. I'm sorry guys, it's been a long last couple weeks, but anywho's, the United States came up with this organization to develop some railroad equipment for the US Army to take overseas to Europe, so that they would have access to operational railroad equipment such as these S160s, the S100s, a handful of diesels, like little center cab diesel locomotives and such, locomotives of that nature. And they did pretty well. I mean, they did what they were meant to do. They were simple, quickly built locomotives that were meant to be disposable. They weren't meant to last very long. It was just something to get the ball rolling until better equipment could be built or requisitioned. But today, a fairly large number of these still exist. I believe around 2,100 of these locomotives were built initially, and around 27 of these locomotives actually remain in preservation today, due to various reasons. Probably the biggest reason being so many of them were built and sent to so many places. So there's a fair chance that you'll find at least one of these locomotives in your country. If you live in a major World War country, these ended up everywhere from remaining here in the United States to Russia, England, Germany, Poland. These ended up everywhere, and as such, a fair number of them remain today, and a fair number of them remain in active service. One could say it's a testament to the build quality, but I would argue it's more a testament to resilience on the part of the preservationists. I can't imagine these locomotives are the easiest thing in the world to maintain compared to a locomotive meant to last. As somebody that collects military firearms and whatnot, you realize real quick some of this stuff is meant to be blown up and beat up. It's not meant to last very long. Well, as somebody that was in the military, I can absolutely testify some of this stuff is not meant to last very long. But so these locomotives were not meant to carry on into today, but they have. One fine example, in the United States at least, that is still operational is on the Great Smoky Mountains Railroad. They still actively use one of these. The Alaska Railroad, as we see here, the Alaska Railroad prototype. There is the, I believe it's 557, I'll get it right. I believe it's 557, number 557. That is currently undergoing a restoration into operable condition. It'll be one of those very few steam locomotives operable in Alaska, but after World War II, the Alaska Railroad ended up with a fair number of these, and so it'd actually be kind of cool to see a prototype Alaskan steam locomotive actually in operation. Well, prototype. You know what I'm saying. But so I believe the UK actually has a pretty significant number of these in operation. Not all of them were originally UK locomotives. I believe there's a couple of them that have come from other places, but England does indeed have a fair number of these still operational today. These locomotives ended up with a nickname Rattlesnake for their very distinctive exhaust sound, which we will go over fairly soon whenever I hop in a scenario to operate one of these locomotives. But I am in the scenario editor in large part because this pack is massive, and frankly we would be here all day if I went through each and every single locomotive and each and every single thing that you can change on all of the locomotives. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to kind of go through what all comes in the pack, and we're going to look through the manual fairly quickly, and then we're going to operate the Alaskan Railroad locomotive for giggles and squiggles. We are on the Blackwood branch that is available on Railworks America. I'll do a video on that later on, but anywho, so let's dive into it. So starting off, of course, to use this in an editor, of course you'll have to go into the scenario editor, click your little tab here, and it'll be under VictoryWorks. But with the pack, you'll get an early and a late Alaskan Railroad locomotive. You'll get the delivery S160, which is kind of a neat one. It's kind of a wacky job here, but these are those will have, as you can see, the smokestack is covered, the windows are boarded up, the numbers are painted over, waiting for an assignment. But this would have been how they would have been shipped overseas and then delivered across rails, so that they were somewhat protected. But we got a delivery. We got the LMR, which is I love this color scheme. This is the Franklin D. Roosevelt. I believe this is a preserved locomotive. I absolutely love this locomotive. It's such a neat color scheme with that dark blue and then the red undercarriage. But the LMR, you'll get a couple Polish TR-201 and TR-203. These are non-dynamically numbered locomotives, as you can see. So 201, 203, so they will have details specific to each other. As you can see, one's got the star on the front, one's got the number, slightly different color, this plow on the front. So a couple things change between those two, but you'll get a couple Polish ideas. Something that's wacky about this pack is you get a long list of locomotives, and a good majority of them you won't hardly ever use because we don't even have routes to match them. As far as I know, we don't have any Polish routes, or like our Russian. We'll get a Russian Shah. To my knowledge, we don't have any Russian routes, but we do get a Russian Shah with Wilson and Wilson couplers with air brakes. You'll get two different versions, pretty worn out version and decently well kept version, during World War and post World War, and of course all the British models. So you'll get the black with the ceremony, the 42 ceremony with the flags on the front, which is a really neat locomotive. And then just a plain Jane black with the Buckeye and air. Still's got the buffers on the front. It's kind of entertaining, but oh yeah, there you go. You'll get a U.S. Army, just a plain Jane U.S. Army. Now, you will notice in the scenario editor some objects are trying to fight over each other. I will go over why that is in a minute. It's not a bug, I swear. But so there's a U.S. Army version. Where were we? A Buckeye, black with hook and air, black with hook and vacuum, black with Wilson air. And this is just talking about the couplers right here. So the 140U with hook and air. Now what all of these are, I really couldn't say, but TR-201 in black So we got 201 up here. Here's 201 as it would have looked like during World War II. All black. And then we got the gray. I love the gray. I think it's such a neat looking scheme. But we got gray right here with, of course, again, the various different coupler types. And then, of course, the tenders that go with them. And you will get a little bit of a rolling stock that goes with them. So, like here, we got a flat car. This is a flat car. I believe it's the same flat car that's used in the Horseshoe Curve pack. So, nothing really special going on with the flat car. We're not really looking at that. But you will get a Pennsylvania flat car load with the Russian Shah locomotive and tender for export. There is a scenario for that reason. But you'll get that. And zoom. Scroll all the way down. I believe it's all the way down here. But you should... There it is. So you'll get the USSR cars for Russia, which will come with flat cars of wacky design with different loads, I believe. I don't know why that number's doing what it is, but again, oh well. But here's one with a Katyusha, one with a anti-tank cannon, of course the empty, the Wilson Air, again empty, the ZIS-3 and the Katyusha, hook and air, brake vans, so glorified box cars with extra braking. But you get those, and then here's where it really starts. So you get a caboose, Buckeye and air, and hook and air. Yeah, it's pretty similar to a British brake van. It's nothing necessarily wacky. You get a tank car with Buckeye and hook. Again, nothing too terribly wacky. Anyway, yeah. Oh my goodness, I'm tired. I tell you guys, it's been long. I need to slow down for a little bit. But I will say the rolling stock's pretty cool. And detail-wise, they're pretty well detailed. The texturing, though, I don't know what it is about the texturing, but it really doesn't sit well with me. Maybe it's like the attempt at just not being one-sided color. I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me. The texturing doesn't do it for me. But the lettering is nice and crispy. But another wacky thing, it doesn't show the couplers. But yeah, overall the cars themselves actually look really good. It's just the texturing that just, yeah, doesn't float my boat. But you'll get a tank car, you'll get a flat car with, of course, all the different coupling types, and then you'll get them with a handful of different loads. So, like here we got the B1, the French B1 tanks, and the loads are actually pretty cool. You get something kind of different. They're not high res by any means. Those chains are very, very painfully obviously 2D. They don't look good, like, at all. The tank itself is very much like fresh out of Microsoft Train Simulator. But it is cool that you get something different. Military loads. But you know, you get a B1. Here's one with a Cromwell. Here's an empty one. Two empties? No, I just clicked on the wrong one. Here's one with a M10. We did the M10. T-34. One or two trucks, and there are a couple trucks, so as you can see, and it'll just change at random what kind of trucks are included. So like we got a stake bed here with a load in the back of it. We got kind of a half covered stake bed, a full covered, uncovered. It's kind of different 2.5 ton trucks, just for giggles and squiggles. And then the same for just the different, so you got hook and air, hook and vacuum. You'll get kind of the same loads. across the board. Goodness. But yeah, they're not bad looking cars. Again, by any means are they not bad. It's more just kind of the car themselves looks good. The accessories not so much. The chains just don't look good. The loads are very clearly 2D texturing, Photoshop texturing. It's just kind of eh. And then the green itself is just meh. But everything else looks really, really nice on them overall. Whether or not you get a lot of use out of them, I don't know. I don't get a whole ton of use out of them. I get a lot of use out of the Alaskan Railroad model myself because, of course, I like to run steam locomotives, and it's the one and only steam prototype locomotive that we have for the Alaskan route. And it's the only good out-of-the-box DLC Alaskan product that we have for the Alaskan Railroad. If you guys watch that video, you'll know why. The Alaskan, the included content with the Alaskan route is just awful. So, but this is a really nice locomotive to have for the Alaskan route. But that's what you'll get as far as rolling stock goes. So, as I said, it's a pretty big pack. Right? In all ways, it is very, very large. So, just for some giggles and squiggles, we'll toss on a set of random cars because we are on the Blackwood branch, Blackfoot branch, and it does have a scenic railroad operating. It lets the museum have trackage rights on Sundays, so we'll just pretend it's Sunday and we'll run some random cars because that, again, why not? So we'll just toss some random cars on there just to kind of go along. Looks good. So, some random cars. Now that I've gone through everything, I will go ahead and point this out now too. I believe it's in the manual too. We'll find that out in a second. But there are two different whistles. Some locomotives include a bell, some don't. Sound-wise, though, the core sounds are exactly the same on all of them. Really, the only thing that changes sound-wise is the whistle and whether or not there is a bell. So, again, another great reason not to go through each and every single one. There's just no point. But so anyway, let's pull up the manual here. This just kind of talks about the history, all the different cars, loads. Of course, the scenarios, as you can see, scenarios for the West Somerset, the Riviera line, and Horseshoe Curve. That's not what we're worried about. We want to find out about all the wacky things we can change. There is an advanced and simple mode. I will tell you, read this before you try to run this thing in advanced mode, because it's really, really easy to blow out the cylinders on this locomotive. It doesn't take much at all. So definitely read the manual. Of course, tells you that different details are going to change with each locomotive depending on the country, depending on what you have your settings at. Certain things will be in the cab, certain things won't. It does go over that. So, the original 5-chime whistle has a series of short bursts. I lied. There are 3 whistles. So, as you can see, it tells you right here. It's got the original 5-chime that is built from the factory, USA bald top 3-chime, and the USSR whistle. Again, I'm not gonna go over everything. I don't entirely see the point, but on a really cool part, Steam Sound Supreme had a part in the sounds. So I can tell you right now, the sounds on this it's one of the very few times that I can honestly say the locomotive comes out of the box with some really nice sounds. 9 times out of 10 we get DLC for Train Simulator, and it either use reused sounds, either reused sounds or poor sounds, old sounds, but reused sounds seems to be the most common. Everybody's, oh gosh, it's the same thing, so we gotta reuse the sounds that were made 10 years ago. Yeah, I don't. But it has steam sounds, brain sounds, which is really, really cool. And a really neat thing is the tone of the whistle changes with the cord. So how much you pull the whistle cord, as you can see right here in front of us, will change the tone of the whistle, which is really, really cool. It's just kind of different. A unique feature to this locomotive is the HUD-operated dynamic whistle. On pressing shift space, the F4 HUD brake control becomes a whistle control instead. So for those of you that have watched Railroads Online videos, it's kind of the same thing where the little slider bar controls how much input in the whistle comes about. So that's a really, really neat thing. It can get it can be a little bit finicky if you don't remember to turn it on, turn it off. But it is, again, a really neat feature, just kind of in and of itself. Of course, all the different odds and ends. So like here, you got different headlights. All the different loads, all the different colors, and now we're to the locomotives. So, here's the different settings. So we got some settings are standardized as followed. Y, it's always yes or no to a particular option. Y in regulator, O or R, which is original or roof mounted. Reversers, lever or screw. So it's got it's got a screw option, kind of like a lot of the German locomotives have a screw, as opposed to American locomotives very typically have a big ass lever in the middle. So got those different options. Firebox doors, tender front, different styles, wheel gauge, because the USSR is broad gauge, not standard gauge. Again, I don't know if there's any official Russian content out there. I know there's some third-party stuff. I know UK Train Sim used to have some decent Russian content. I don't remember if it was in broad gauge or not. So again, another one of those models I don't know that you'll get a whole lot of use out of, but it is cool that it is included for one of those kind of maybe if when we get something like that. So, and then of course we got the various locomotives and their specific stuff. So the Polish locomotives, the ceremony locomotive. A lot of these are going to be the same. It's like the tender front, caster painted, number matching logo, water rods, extra planks, stuff like that. Flared straight chimney. The different places the locomotive is based out of. For giggles and squiggles, let's go for the Alaskan, since that's where we're at. So, wait, oh my goodness. So, logo 1, early, alternate early, or late. So it's 55, or 553, and then we got 3, so that's the late. The short or tall chimney, so it's S or T. So we got S, for giggles and squiggles. Let's do tall, just for, again, giggles and squiggles, because you guys can clearly see the short there. It's barely above the number boards. So let's do the tall. The original or vertical whistle, so O or V, that will be the whistle over here, whether or not it sticks straight up like this or kind of out and forwards, kind of like a Texas and Pacific locomotive that is already set to V. So I don't know why it loaded in like this with the whistle sticking straight up, but I guess we get to see the different options. So, and that is an option that will pretty much change at random. But so I already got it set. It'll be a vertical whistle whenever we load in, so that'll show a difference. Firebox cover, yay, nay. Let's go with, sure, why not? So firebox cover, pilot. So that'll be a weather, or the plain old cow catcher, or the snowplow. The Alaskan locomotives can get the snowplows, much like some of the other places. So let's just see if we can get it to load in Alaskan with a plow for just kind of giggles and squiggles. No, it doesn't want to. Okay. Fine then. Delivery. Polish ones had the... Yeah, there we go. So it'll look kind of like that. For the most part, it'll be that right there. So a snow plow, and then the W will be for like a dynamic weather. As you can see, weather controlled. In the snow, it'll put on a plow, and in the not winter, it'll put on a cow catcher. So W right now, that'll mean it'll change depending on the season. So let's see, X, that's the generator location. So front, back, center. This is the back. Again, don't know why. Right now it says X, so it should be up here. Oh, giggles and squiggles. Wheel point F. See if it moves it to the front, because I don't know. Why not? Bell location should be back here or up front right here. I don't know if this will fight with the generator. Actually, now that I think about it, I like the bell up front. It's kind of... do I? Nah. We'll just leave the bell there. So, but just for future reference, let's see. Where's the Army locomotive? Normally the Army locomotive comes with the bell up front. Yeah, I like that. So the generator might mess with the number boards. I don't know. We'll see. But for front, generator will be right here behind the cab, and then the bell will be right in front of the stack. Generator behind the cab. I try, guys. I really do. But anyhow, so we got bell. It's going in the back, and then the reverser. So lever or screw. So right now it's set to screw. We're American. Lever. I think the Pennsylvania Railroad is one of those oddballs that like to use screws, but screw it. Get it? Ha ha ha. I know. It's okay. The U.S. Army locomotive would be kind of the oddball out. It's the one that'll let you kind of play with just about everything in general, because it is kind of the basic generic core locomotive. So taller short chimney, original vertical whistle, firebox covers, black or yellow buffer plates, changing the colors, the Westinghouse location, which is the brakes. So like right now on the Alaskan locomotives, they're down here. On a lot of the foreign locomotives, they'll be right here on the side. So oftentimes the British locomotive, yeah. So like this one, as you can see, it's got the pumps up here on the side of the smoke box. Matter of fact, got them top and bottom. I don't know why, but so it'll change that up. The pilot, again, just a bunch of oddballs. Yellow, black, changes the color. Front steps, bell location, reverser, handrails, number on smoke box or lamp, white wheels, white rims. So stuff like that can all be changed. This will remedy itself. This is the logo I was talking about. Old, new, big. That is that first number. So let's go ahead and jump into it. our number up here? Is our number the same here? No, it's not. There we go. Let's jump into it. Let's see what happens. Let's see if I get an out of memory error, because welcome to Train Simulator Classic. Out of memory errors seem to be number one here. Alright. We let it in. We didn't crash yet. Keyword yet. So advanced mode, we'll leave it off for now. Advanced mode is a little bit of a struggle to tinker with while trying to do a video. Advanced mode is going to make these locomotives operate a lot like the smoke box locomotives, or actually better yet, these locomotives will run a lot like the New Zealand locomotives, the New Zealand guys, and they're really high-end locomotives. These locomotives will run much like that, and a lot of things can fail if you don't do it all right, so it's just easier. But anywho, it's a really good looking locomotive. The texturing overall is really good. These are older, so there are some things that could stand to be improved on, like this. The texturing is just kind of eh. But like the exhaust looks really good. Our idle sounds sound awesome. Overall, it is really nice. It is really, really, really nice. I like it anyway. I get a lot of fun out of these. So I think the Alaskan locomotives will typically come with the bald American, the bald 3-chime. So let's see, where's our whistle cord? We can kind of show off that I love that. I love that I can play with that. It's one of the few locomotives I come back to all the time because of that. Of course, windows can all be tinkered with. Where's our roof hatch? Roof hatch, windows, front windows, all that fun stuff. Externally, it is really well detailed overall. I'm not a big fan of the diamond plating here. It's just kind of painfully obvious that it's a 2D texture. But other than that, it's a really good looking locomotive overall. So we're going to pull up the F4 HUD so that we can see maybe what features do and don't work. So we'll click on sand. Sanders do work. Put out sand front and back. So there's that dynamic whistle. So now the brake control is the whistle. And then we shift space, puts it back to the brakes, as you can see. Our reverser. Unfortunately, I don't believe the reverser functions. It's kind of odd for Victory Works stuff. Normally they're pretty in-depth. Hearing. It's stupid. Go ahead and point this out now. You will hear that a lot. You will hear the pressure reliefs go off a lot, but we got our tricox. Those all work. I just kind of push a little bit of steam out to show where what your boiler water level is at, because it's pretty dark in here. It's hard to see those gauges right there. I can just see, but not the best. If I remember right, yeah. So this controls your fire rate, or how fast he shovels coal. So like I put it up, stop shoveling, put it down a little bit, he's a little slower, all the way down. He shovels pretty quick. So that's a neat thing. I love that feature a lot. I adore this feature. I think every single steam locomotive that doesn't have a stoker should absolutely include this, so that you don't have to have the F4 or a special keybind to use the fireman. But we got our injectors, part of our injectors, fireman and driver side. Bell, I think. Don't like the bell, like at all. The bell sucks, doesn't float my boat, and it's very painfully obvious that the bell audio doesn't go with the bell swing. And I'm not a huge fan of the brass coloring. It looks too much like yellow paint. Like this looks more like weathered brass. This looks like yellow paint. So does this. So I'm not a fan. It doesn't float my boat. So up here we got our bells and whistles, control lights, tender light, cab light. Now we can see top lamp. It's our headlight. Tender light won't turn on as long as we got a train hook back there, so it's kind of a unused item. Of course, our control lights, which is lights for our gauges here, pretty much. And then up here is where, right before I go ahead and say that, yeah. So I believe our marker lights are right here. So it's just switches. It's just that's not my favorite thing. I do kind of wish that they would have actually called them something, but they didn't. They're just switch one through whatever. So we'll scroll up here. So here's the switch panel. So these are outer lights 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. Although in belt, none were fitted with electrical generators, quickly became a normal feature. Balls. So, yeah, you guys can read these. Not the most useful thing for American locomotives. For the UK locomotives, they control which lamp is lit. Because the UK uses a lighting code for the front of their locomotive. For the US, it's these marker lights and number boards. That's really about it. And what is wacky is the marker lights are red. I can't change them over to green. So those aren't the marker lights. Those were the marker lights. So what those go to, I don't know. Oh. Alright, well now all the switches are on and none of the marker lights lit, so that's wacky. Brakes, pretty normal. You'll throw them off, then put them to running if you're driving at advanced, which we're not right now, so big whoop. If you're not advanced, you have to put them to release, wait till your brake pressure drops all the way, and then put it back to running, otherwise it won't release your brakes. I love the exhaust effects. Those look really nice. I like the way they shoot out in the front. They alternate. They look pretty decent. The smoke effects are alright. They're not my favorite, but they look pretty good. Sparks will fly depending on how fast we're going, what our throttle is set at. Pretty sure our whistle was supposed to be vertical, but oh well. Live injectors, air pumps, brake steam, steam shut off, brake steam blower. So it's got some nice chuff sounds. Credit where it's due. It does sound really, really nice. I do really like that. I love the chuff sounds, to be perfectly honest. I really do. Very noticeable. They're very loud. Pitch changes with what your throttle is at. I don't know why we have the tender light colors in the back there, as if the tender lights are lit, but they're not. Oh well. But it sounds pretty good. It really does. I like it. I like the way it sounds. I like the way it runs. Now, mind you, these are not powerhouses of locomotives. These are not going to pull big, long monstrosities worth of trains. These are, I don't want to say weak, but they're not powerhouses, so don't expect to be pulling huge, long trains with it. But it does sound really nice, and I like the smoke. The smoke effect now looks, I like it. I think it looks pretty good. That exhaust will drive you nuts, because unless you sit here and truthfully, if you burn off your boiler pressure enough, it's not an issue if you know how to regulate your boiler pressure and know how to burn it. But that is definitely a hard thing to do while maintaining a decent speed, so you'll probably end up hearing that pressure relief valve a lot. But it looks really good. Everything looks really smooth. Everything looks really nice. Everything operates nicely. I believe these locomotives top off at around 50, 55, maybe 60. I think 60's pushing it a bit. They're not speed demons by any means. Physics-wise, the brakes do grab, and they grab hard, and they grab fast, which I'm not a huge fan of, but such is life. I do think the brakes should be a little less OP, because as you saw, we just kind of, we did almost 40 to 0 in nothing. I do think the brakes grab a little bit too quick and a little bit too hard, but they're not the worst that I've ever seen. And I'm also not operating on advanced. On advanced, it is a little bit different. So, but overall, it is a really nice locomotive. It runs really, really nice. I like the way it runs. And you know it would probably be helpful? Where's the generator at? Blower, exhaust, sander, air pump, mechanical lubricator. That one shouldn't matter. That's our air pump. Unless I'm crazy. Exhaust injector. Where's the generator at? Ha! We don't get a generator. Generators are dumb. Oh well. No generator. Get funky. So bell, sander, air brakes, air vacuum, triple crocs, blue glass. Sorry guys, I kind of read through these a little bit quick. Not intentionally, but I just kind of look for keywords whenever I have to scroll through here. Coal levels do matter. So coal level high, 2220. Coal level average, 1770, about 60%. Pretty normal. That's it. Okay, well, no generator, so sad times. Overall, I think it's an awesome locomotive. If you haven't checked it out, or if you don't already have it, definitely go check it out. It is available on the Steam store for, I believe, around $20-ish, somewhere around that area. It's definitely worth checking out. It's a lot of fun, and it's a huge pack that is truthfully probably, I think it's the only, actually, now that I think about it, it is the one and only locomotive that we've got that's kind of a generic dual locomotive for just about anywhere. And credit where it's due, it is an Army locomotive that was meant to go overseas, so one could say it's kind of cheating, but so you can get away with one of these locomotives in just about any country, any route, anytime you so please, because you can find these all over, even today. Matter of fact, there's one right up the road from me in Ohio in really nice condition. Gorgeous looking locomotive at the Age of Steam Roundhouse. So, yeah, do go check the pack out. If you're a fan of wacky stuff like this, I highly recommend it. I think it's really, really cool. Maybe one day we'll get somebody that'll dress one up for the Great Smoky Mountain Railroad just for giggles and squiggles. I think it'd be awesome. But anywho, that's about it. I think I've talked enough. Go check it out. See for yourselves. Again, it is available on Steam. It is by Victory Works. It's an awesome model. Minor discrepancies that could stand to be updated, but it is an older model. I'm not going to hate on it too much. So, anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys next time.